Hello, Master Manifester. Today we're talking about expectations versus reality in manifestation, or in goal setting, in having a fantasy versus having the reality. Really, in any context, this is pretty much the same. You have an idea of something. Where did this idea come from? Maybe you saw it on TV. Maybe you heard it from a friend. Maybe you saw somebody else doing or having something that triggered you to think, I want this thing. The first thing your brain does is establish mental rewards. It is a prediction reward system. It's trying to predict your behavior to keep you safe. And when the predictions match the outcome, it gets a dopamine reward. It says, you did good. We're happy. The system is successful, you know. So if you don't get the reward, and I mean almost immediately, you'll start to feel a letdown. The dopamine levels will drop, and it can happen in like 3 seconds from the time you decided you wanted to. Look at that cool car. I want a car like that. Oh, I don't have a car like that. You see? That's exactly how the brain works, because it wants to spur you on to more activity towards that thing. But we as master manifestors know that you can't do things the matrix way. I mean, you can. You could do things through the physical way. Now, it does work. It's slower. It's clunkier. It's more difficult. Doesn't work as often. But, it can totally work. And sometimes it feels better to be active in the process. And sometimes you get bigger mental rewards from being more proactive. And this is where inspired action can come in too, because, you can manifest doing absolutely nothing. You really can do it depending on what the thing is, but you would have to constantly monitor yourself, like constantly take a lot of energy to do it. I've done it in like sometimes minutes, but when I say intense focus, like it is uncomfortable. So I would prefer to just skip that part. I don't love the discomfort. Like I'll sit with it if I know there's a reward coming. So my brain is trained to be primed for the dopamine that I will sit through the discomfort if I know there's going to be a reward on the other side. And I don't even necessarily need to know what the reward is. A lot of the time I will think of my reward as a higher dopamine baseline, which I've been getting really consistently, but there's almost always a fallout, like an emotional fallout before that. Like the system just has this really intense burst of old program energy. And it's like, okay, clear the whole thing out. Take a look at it. Are you sure you don't want this anymore? Now I'm like, take it away. Give me the new stuff, right? So when you have an expectation of something, if the something that you get is bigger than what you expected it was going to be, let's say you're scratching a lottery ticket and you're like, it would be awesome if I won $2 and you win $20. You're going to get a massive surge of dopamine. It's going to be gratitude. This is what gratitude is. Reality being higher than expectation, reward being bigger than you thought it would. And so keeping your baseline expectations lower, that evenness of flow, that I have everything already, loosens the tightness of expecting, of wanting, of needing. Need is really just that drop of dopamine telling you to go. That's really all it is. And when you notice that feeling, that tightness in your body of, I need this thing, I can't be happy without it. Here's the problem with that. The problem is you will raise the bar. You will always raise the bar because it will be a program, a habit to raise the bar. Let's say you want to lose weight. You want to look better physically. You want to look better to you physically. I think most people look great no matter what, but let's say you want something specific. You specifically want something about your appearance to change. And it's not something like go on and dye your hair, So you want this thing to change, and you know that you need to change to have it. Let's say it's either fat loss or muscle gain or something like that, because these are very specific physical things. So I want to use a really visceral, like physical example. So when you're trying to change all of that and you look at the mirror and you're like, it's almost like you're confirming that old reality. Your brain will instantly confirm what you believe to be true. And your starting point was, I believe this needs to change, right? I believe my belly needs to look different. My legs need to look different. My ears need to look, whatever it is. Whatever it is that, whatever trigger that you saw made you feel like the comparison between what you have and what you could have is not good, right? Wherever that is, you need to come back in and be like, this is also good. This is also good. Okay? This is good, and this is also good. But this good is moving towards this good, right? That acceptance of what is, not just acceptance, but even like, just really taking joy and gratitude in it and realizing that you already have far more than you could have ever expected at any other point in human history. Far more. The industry, the technology, the possibility, the freedom. And we don't always feel very free, but we're free enough to complain about not feeling free. There was a time we couldn't do that. We could not, and there are still places in the world you cannot do that. You cannot complain about not being free. We are so free that we can complain about not having as much freedoms as we want, right? So when you start looking in on that perspective, you start realizing how much you already have and the gratitude and the feelings of abundance because it already exceeded your expectations because you saw this thing and you're like, oh, I want that car. I want that body. I want that mate. I want that money, whatever it is, whatever it is that your baseline physical ego is saying, we're not succeeding in this area, right? Look at it and go, I am successful here. And I choose to become more successful in this area. I'm already there. I'm just taking on more. Thank you, sir. Can I have some more? Right? So, and that was a Oliver Twist, by the way. I forget. Some of you might not even know who Oliver Twist is, but yeah, he said, please, sir, can I have some more? Yeah, more. Anyway. So it's kind of like that with your unconscious, and you're like, please, can I have some more? And the unconscious is immediately resistant, like, there's no more. There's not enough for you. You wouldn't be able to do this because of this bliss, that blah, blah, blah. We can't have it, blah, blah, blah. Because it's trying to keep you in homeostasis. It's trying to keep you in a constant state that it knows you will survive. So all you got to do, right? All you got to do is make sure you do feel safe, that you keep reinforcing evidence, thoughts, feelings of safety while you're making these changes. So that when you get from the gap from expectation, fantasy to reality, you were already there the whole time. So when it comes in, you're just like, hey, something more. Just like I always knew it was going to come. I was already happy and now I'm still happy. I was already eudaimonia. I'm still eudaimonia. I'm still stable. I'm still safe. I'm still me. I'm still an operating effective system serving my story, right? Because you don't want to leave the story. The story is amazing. You don't have to go to another planet to be happy. It's about changing your perspective here. Some of us came here from other planets because we couldn't wait to be here. It's like, people from Europe come to America for the World Cup and getting really excited. But, we here in America, we're like, it's not good enough. We don't have this and all this stuff is going wrong. Yet there's always going to be problems. Expect that automatically. There will always be problems. So when you shift your perspective to problems are opportunities, these are a chance to grow, or maybe even just manifest the problem solves itself. I don't even need to pay attention to the problem unless it's immediate danger, like, a wolf or a lion or, something immediate. Please do something about that. Protect yourself, obviously. But, when you're thinking of these things, they feel desperate because of your biological imperatives from your system imperatives. And when you get more in touch with your system, you can communicate those things faster from your conscious mind. You can build them up from underneath so that they come automatically and you're not having to try. This is inspired action. You'll automatically get inspired to do something, right? Or you can actively look for something that feels inspiring if you feel like you need to give more action to it. And sometimes that feels better. Sometimes you get more mental rewards from that. Just depends. But I hope this has helped you understand a little bit more about the gap between expectation and reality and how to kind of alleviate some of those feelings of desperation or resistance or attachment and just let go and realize you're already there. You already have these experiences available. They're already there. Now, yes, do you want the thing? Absolutely. Is it going to come through? Yeah, sure. Eventually, eventually you're going to move through that thing, or you might get to that point and decide, I don't really want this thing anymore, because you're constantly changing. You're constantly evolving in your character, especially when you're mastering manifestation. Boy, do we evolve our character, and it is not comfortable all the time. In fact, I find it so uncomfortable sometimes that I'm like, I'm going to quit. I'm never going to do this again. And the next day I'm like, here we go. Next video, next topic, next research, next experiment, next method. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and sign up for the Method Muse newsletter in the description below.